Welcome to the Earn Interest Podcast, the business school for the culture. This is your host, Pedro Moore, serial entrepreneur and venture capitalist. This is the podcast for commentary, conversation, and practical tips on all things business, startups, and entrepreneurship for those looking to chase after their dreams. Let's get into it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Earn Interest, the business school for the culture. My name is Pedro Moore, serial entrepreneur and venture capitalist. I'm here with the showrunner, Dion. What's going on, my man?
What up, though?
Also, video production team, Ben and Joe. Thank you guys for always making us look amazing. So today's episode is When Our Superheroes Die. This is going to be a deep topic. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people out there that can relate to us when we get into this, but Earn Interest Podcast is really all about commentary and conversation around all things business, entrepreneurship, and startups for anyone chasing their dreams. So let's go ahead and get into it. So what you been up to, man?
Man, it's been an eventful few months. This topic, obviously resonates
Yes,
with me, so
yeah,
I'm excited
yeah,
to get into
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I've been doing a lot of reading. So since we moved to Maryland, right before I bought like maybe 7 or 8 books. Norse mythology, a whole bunch of geek stuff, whatever. But one is kind of like a marketing kind of business.
Okay.
But anyway, so as I'm reading that, and I was thinking about this podcast, I was just like, man, the number of entrepreneurs have grown exponentially.
Yes, yeah.
Like when you think about how many entrepreneurs we had in America, maybe in 1940, compared to now, it's like night and day.
Night and day.
It's risky now, but it was really risky back then.
Absolutely.
A lot of people that was doing it back in the day was like high school dropouts and stuff like that. They were just like fresh out of the military or something like that. So I thought it was interesting. So anyway, so I came across. You've probably seen the movie The Founder.
Yes.
So Michael Keaton plays Ray Kroc in The Founder. But for me, being the nerd that I am, I'm like, I got to go read. Like, this is crazy. This is insane. So for people who do not know, Ray Kroc is technically the person who is credited for being the founder of McDonald's, which is crazy, even though the founders are technically the McDonald brothers. But so I want to give you just kind of like a few bullet points just about that. And you being an investor in a business, man, I'm sure I think we're going to be on the different ends of the spectrum on our feelings around him and just the whole McDonald's thing, right?
Yeah.
So just from a point of reference, so Dick and Mac McDonald are the people that started McDonald's in San Bernardino, California in 1940. 1940.
Mm-hmm.
One restaurant, super successful, doing great. Ray Kroc, high school dropout, came super impressed because they used to take tours of like, and they call it like their speedy system. So anybody could come. Burger King, like you watch the foods that made America, everybody came. So the owners of Burger King, everybody came and seen like their assembly line, how they did things, right? So they were just giving tours to everybody. They were a little naive, but whatever, super nice guys. So he came along and he volunteered to franchise them. Mm-hmm. That was a big thing to franchise individuals because people were franchised like regions. But he was talking about individuals. So it was a big thing. So then after that, he kind of undercuts them. So when he was getting like a 1.4% or something like that on the profits, he met a person and basically told him, hey, you're not in the burger business, you're in the real estate business, right? So he started buying the land on which the franchises was built on. So essentially,
he was double dipping almost, man.
Pretty much, and pretty much became like the owner now. Like you own every piece of land that every McDonald's is on. So that's insane, right? So anyway, so fast forward, they want, he buys them out for $2.1 million, right, for the whole chain. This is like 1961 on a handshake deal. So they got $2.7 million, but the royalties, they're supposed to get royalties forever on a handshake deal. Yeah. Do you think they ever got those royalties?
Nah.
They did not, right?
What royalties?
So anyway, he never gave them their percentages. And when Mac died, he died like a heart attack. But his brother Maurice, when he died with a net worth around $1.8 million. Lived in a modest suburban home. You know how much money Ray Kroc died with? What his net worth was? Over $300 million. $300 million.
Wow.
So for me, I'm like, this guy's a crook. Like, this is wild. This is crazy. I'm reading this and I'm like, oh, like what level of evil is this? Like, this is wild. But then I thought about you. I wonder where Pedro. Not that Pedro's evil. Not that he's some type of super villain, but
kind of the point of view.
Your point of view. So you know the story and a little bit what I just shared. Where do you stand? Is he just a really smart businessman, or
I will say
something nefarious?
So the media so I will say it's a little bit of both, and that comes down to character. So, and we talked about Diddy in the last episode because Diddy has a bad rap for just
jerking people,
right? But
making people walk for cheesecake. I would never let him live that down.
I forgot about that. Yeah. And what was the other guy's name? I'm sorry, this is off topic, but was it Dylan? Dylan. Who's the best rapper? Dylan. From but anyway, so I think it's a matter of a question of should you be nice if someone is ignorant? Or should you just not tell them? So, like, the reason why I'm using Diddy, because with those artists, most of us, I remember there's, in Making the Band, I remember there's scenes where, like, this one lady, the singer, she didn't want to sign because she wanted someone to read. And she was trying to do the right thing, but peer pressure kicked in. And peer pressure still happens as an adult. You know what I mean? And so peer pressure kicked in and she signed. But all the other people, no one looked at the agreement. They just, but now fast forwarding, everyone they're all mad at Diddy, right?
It's about ownership of masters. Like, give me my masters.
Yeah, so it's a question of because I mean, don't get me wrong, could Diddy be like, hey, well, this is what really happens, blah blah blah. But it's a question of, is he really required to?
Good point.
So I come from the point of view, he's not obligated or required to. The expectation is, this is a business deal. If you need a lawyer to read it over, go get a lawyer. I have my lawyers, and we come to a mutual agreement. And then boom, and same thing with that deal with Kroc and the McDonald brothers. It's a similar scenario where, like, I'm not as evil as that, even though Dion says I am. But I come from, like, look, here's what I like to do. Let's have the conversation first, and then I may say, go get your lawyer, so that way you understand what we about to get into. But in the world of private equity and venture, a lot of these things happen a lot. And so I know society is going to hate this comment, but it's the way of the land, unfortunately. There's people get burnt every day. Unfortunately.
Every day, baby.
Every day. These are just the ones that make it to the surface, the media. But people get burnt every day in deals. So I would say that Kroc, based off of fairness, he's okay. But in terms of a moral standpoint, maybe he's wrong.
Nah, he's wrong, bro. He was using their name. He was talking about he was basically, like, how do you become the founder of something that you didn't find? Like, that's like America. That's like Christopher Columbus about, I discovered this. Like, dude, you don't see these people out here? Like, you don't see these people? They're literally called natives. They're literally called indigenous people.
Yeah, he did. Christopher Columbus.
Like,
he did. He did. Now,
wild.
But I will give him points for. Because
he outsmarted them, though.
Well, he definitely did outsmart
them.
He did. He took advantage of the ignorance.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's why I say and that's why I say that's the moral part, because he saw a weakness and he played. But it's like in sports too. Like if you are Shaq and all of a sudden you got Muggsy Bogues guarding you and you want to win, you're gonna dunk on Muggsy. You're not even gonna, like, think twice about it. But that's the same.
Poor Muggsy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So it's you take it's a what's the dog eat dog world, or whatever that phrase is. Where you exploit the weakness if it can give you a leg up. And so in that context, their weakness was lack of knowledge and understanding. And so, but I will say that he might be okay with he probably should say co-founder, maybe instead of just founder. That probably would make more sense. And here's the reason why, because I think he should have the founder name with him, because he's the one that built it to the franchise brand. If it was just them, it would just been one or two local.
Can I throw something else in there that makes him super evil? Like, he's not even like an anti-hero. He's a straight villain. So he was mad because in the deal they didn't want to give up the original location. So he wound up, they weren't smart enough to make sure that he couldn't use the name, because he started a thing called the McDonald's Foundation. McDonald's Corporation, right? So then after the deal was done, they got the $1 million. They had to change the name of their restaurant. And
that was criminal. I agree.
Actual name. So wait, it gets worse. So they have to change the name when it's their actual name on their birth certificate. And
he was a narcissist.
It gets worse because so they changed it to the big M. But guess what he did? He built the McDonald's right next to him and put him out of business.
That I feel like is going above and beyond of just being ignorant. Because so like that, I agree with that part, because it was like that wasn't necessary. I'm okay with traditional business, right? And if you want to exploit the
traditional
weakness,
evil, Pedro's okay with. We heard it here first. Put that out there for public consumption. Everybody heard. Conventional evil's okay.
I will say, because I've got burnt even on the other side of like someone, meaning I didn't know no better, and so that challenge. That's why I'm from that point of view. That's why I think it's again competitive in basketball. Like sometimes you do have to get burnt to become better. Sometimes you have to lose in order to become better. And so, but I do agree. I don't think he had to do all the extra stuff. He should have just got the contracts done, built the brand, and moved on. I feel like everything else was just like overkill. But I think that's also because also too. I remember that story. He did something with his original wife. He ended up. You know all that. So he is maybe evil guy, but the building the brand, I think he would have been okay with it. Everything else, yes.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Speaking of it is what it is. So Cameron and Mace put together this makeshift Sports Center-esque show called It Is What It Is. And it's taking off. It's taking off so much so. So Black Enterprise, they just reported that Underdog Fantasy, which is a sports betting agency that also has Gilbert Arenas' podcast, apparently just gave them like an 8-figure deal.
Nice.
An 8-figure deal, which I think is a little insane because the show has only been out, I don't know, for a cup of coffee, right? It's fairly new, and the contract is for about 18 months. Did you hear about this?
I didn't know the term was on 18 months, but I did know about that. So like, one, I like to see them in this spectrum because I watched a couple of episodes. It is strictly uncut. There's no structure. It's just them and them. It's almost like them.
All on our social media.
And they just say whatever whatever comes to their mind, they say. But the part I think I said is in the last episode too. The part that I like to see some of these entertainers now of getting in the traditional world of just business in general. You know what I mean? Because society says that we can only be financially successful if we play a sport or sing. You know what I mean? I want our people to be successful, financially successful in the arenas our other counterparts are successful in. You know what I mean? I want them to play that same game and earn the same thing. So I do like, because I remember in that same article, he talked about like how he funded the whole project. And he bootstrapped it. And so he got a lot of deals with people wanting to kind of buy the show, and but he didn't really want to do it unless there was some real added value other than just money. But reason why I want to highlight that because for all entrepreneurs, like who tech entrepreneurs, it's the same thing. A lot of them build companies and they don't want to take outside investment unless there is some immediate value, and so those experiences are great experiences because they're transferable. Like that now we're starting to play the same game as others. So I like that. I'm curious to see what will happen though. You know what I mean? What does that mean? Are they? I feel like part of what gave them a little bit of that, not a little bit of, but I feel like their niche is that unstructured thing. And so does that mean now? Will they have to be more formalized? Yeah,
that's a great point. And I think the appeal is definitely that we talk. It's like water cooler conversation. It's barbershop type of commentary, right? But my thing is there's two parts of this for me. For one, shout out to them. Go get the bag, black man. $30 million is $30 million. That's a great deal. Of course, all that does not go in our pocket. You got to do marketing. You got to hire people. All those things. But I'm pretty sure they're getting a nice little salary from that, right? But I think the other part of it is like your cachet is the fact that you guys are childhood friends. You've been rappers. You've been successful. You've been in the limelight. So you already are a celebrity. However, this is not an easy game. You know what I mean? Because you're now swimming in waters with ESPN, with Barstool Sports, Bleacher Report, right? At some point, the excellence level has to be bumped up for it to sustain. Yeah. So that's my thing. I'm like, it sounds cool. Yeah. Get the bag. Correct. But I'm like, me personally, if they continue to go this way, I'm like, this can't last, can it? Unless they're fine with it just being a YouTube thing, because it is technically it's a YouTube thing. Correct. You know, but if you talking networking, you talking, you know, different markets and things like that, I think they do have to change. I don't think it can be what it is.
Yeah, and maybe that's the partnership. Like going back to what Cam said, he wants to have a relationship with someone that can add some value. Yeah. Maybe that's the people that the folks coming in is that they can help give that polish. Yeah. The infrastructure.
But then does that take away from the cachet if it's just two friends talking sports?
Yeah. Well, hopefully, and
they talk a lot about the memes and stuff. Like they talk about like the zeitgeist of sports. They don't. I don't ever see them like dissect games.
Yeah, it's always like the memes or something. Like you said, it's barbershop analyst of a game. You know what I mean? Not a deep analyst of a game, but it's barbershop kind of commentary. And so I feel like that might have to always remain, whatever that might be. But then maybe behind the scenes, maybe some infrastructure, maybe they won't have typos anymore. You know what I mean? And so drive me crazy. So it's because a lot of times when you do take outside investment, they have expectations. Yeah. But at the same time, you want to make sure you're still true to your audience.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so that's sometimes the delicate balance a little bit when you're growing.
Yeah. Yeah. They feel like the blogs to me, like the blogs can blow up. But I don't think maybe outside of the shade room, maybe Hollywood Unlocked, I don't think there's too many blogs that have the same level of cachet as, you know, like a Vogue or, you know, a GQ. Like, and if you want to scale, that's kind of where you, at least that's what I would think. But maybe, again, unless it's a thing like, hey, this is a play just for kind of YouTube. Because, I mean, you see Barstool Sports, they did it. I feel like they started out very much the same thing. They went and got Gillian Wallow, and now, you know, this off to the races. So it could turn into something like that. If they're talented, I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet. I'm just kind of like, get the bag, but I'm like, if
you're not sure how long it's going to really last.
If this was take it or leave it, I'd be like, I think I would leave that. I don't think I would invest $30 million in those guys.
Well, you know, sometimes too, from an investor point of view, you want to find something that has a nice niche. Like even if it may not be a huge thing. Sure. But it has a nice, unique audience. Yeah. And so if that investor already has a certain audience, but there's an audience he can't get to, so it was like, you know what? Let me funnel this. And they may stay. I think their followers may be like, I think I saw like 300,000, something like that. Yeah. They might not even be expecting that to get to $1 million. They might be happy at 500, maybe. You know what I mean? But
I think for $30 million they want a little bit.
Oh more Well, true. So but it may not. They may not be. I mean, granted, if it happens, it happens. But they might not be thinking of a shade room kind of success. Yeah. They may just say they're probably expecting. You know what? I wanted to get to this stage. If it gets to this stage, I get my ROI because, and you know this more than anybody. Advertisers love niches. If you can really have a defined market, you can charge higher premiums and all that good stuff. So maybe that might be going back to the audience. There's an audience that might be untapped that their advertising network can't really reach, and maybe with Mason Cam can help them help that investor reach that audience. That's just my thoughts on that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So speaking of that, let's get into take it or leave it. J.M. Smuckers wants to buy Twinkies, makers of Hoster brands, for $5.6 billion.
Yeah.
We keep having these conversations around these bees, and I'm just like, it's a lot of money.
It is. A lot of money. Well, some context too. I mean, I think some years ago, or maybe early 2010s, what's the name? Hostess. Yeah, Hostess was going bankrupt, and then someone bought them for with the M's in front of it. I think it was like 3 or 4 at that time, and turned it around. And if I recall that they turned it around and more recently got it to like worth $2 billion. Yeah. So them buying for $3 billion seemed like it's
$5 billion.
Or $5 billion. Yeah, $5 billion. Okay, 5.6. So so it seemed like at least that those for the CEO hostess. Again, point of view.
Yeah, he winning.
Yeah, great job. You know what I mean?
Great deal.
Yeah. Can I borrow a couple dollars? You know what I mean?
Right, like you want everything. You want this too.
Yeah. So if we were great friends with him, he can buy all of us McLarens,
all of us.
But from an investor point of view, sometimes the question now will be, you got it for 5. Do you think you can go to 10?
Right.
That's just basically doubling your money.
Sure.
And I don't know if it can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know if it can.
So would you take it or leave it?
That's a hard one.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm gonna say no at that price.
Okay.
I'll say if it was maybe 2 or 3, I'll maybe take it.
Yeah.
I'll maybe do the deal. But at 5, because I just can't. And granted, I could be wrong, but I just can't see it. Because theoretically, you at least want to double your money, right? Yeah. So if you're doing, you just invested 5, that means at minimum you expect 10 at some point,
right?
And so can it get there? So
right.
so I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna take yeah.
I was thinking about this and at first I was swayed to no, I wouldn't take this, but then I was like, wait, it's Smuckers. Yeah, Smuckers already owns a ton of snacks, so if anything, it just enlarges their territory in the snack, in the snack industry. Yeah. So because it enlarges it's more field, right? Correct. Like, hey, the more field I have, the better field position because I've took more field. Yeah. So I'm thinking because of Smuckers, that actually may be a good deal. Okay. Because now the snack industry has to really. It's like Facebook buying Instagram and everything else. It's like we have more territory in social media. So no matter how great TikTok is, I own 4 of the top 5.
That's true.
So now I think Smuckers leverage that. Like, hey, now we own. I don't know how many snacks. There's a lot, but let's just say I own 4 of the top 10.
That's true.
So for me, I'm like, because of Smuckers,
their focus is owning territory.
Exactly.
Owning territory.
It's about the territory.
Yeah.
That's the way I looked at it.
That's actually a great point. Yeah. So actually with that being said, I'm gonna change my answer. I'm gonna say I'll take it because I forgot about that point. Yeah. Is that because each time you make an investment, there's a reason. Sometimes it is to flip, but sometimes it's just ownership of territory. Yep. That's like similar we just talked about with Mason. Sometimes for them, it could be just territory they want to reach. Yep. And so I can see that they have the infrastructure already, and so they just like, look, we the kingpins now. Exactly. You know what I mean? That's and so. I will say I will take it.
You will take it?
Yeah, I will take it. Dion convinced me.
Hey, there we go. So my mom will be very proud of that. She always said that I should have been a lawyer. Like, you would have been a really good lawyer.
I can see that. Yeah.
But, you know me. I got to, if I don't love it, I cannot do it. That's my Achilles heel, no matter how much money is in it. But speaking of moms, so I know we're talking a little bit about when our superheroes die. And I'm sure maybe similarly, so I didn't grow up with a father, so my mom was definitely one of my heroes, one of my biggest heroes. And my mom passed away 2017, right? Yeah. And this journey, success and losses just feel different. Like nothing feels normal, right? And we know most recently, more recent for you, your mom just passed.
This past
What's
summer.
What's that been like? Especially, still juggling.
An
empire.
That's a great point, and that's why I wanted to talk about this, like why. When our superheroes die, because to your point, my mother, I had an aunt that raised me too, but my mother was like the one who really built the ingredients of me, of my work ethic too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Saturday mornings, I had to get up, pull weeds out. You know what I mean? So I wake up early because of her. Yeah. And so and it's a transition because my mother, and so that's another reason why I also want to do this with you, because you can identify that. You have a couple years under your belt. I'm fresh out, fresh into it. Yeah. And so the experience has been very challenging because life still goes on. Mm-hmm. And the harsh reality is that the one that raised you, who's the person that you felt like could live forever, did not live forever. Yeah. So your brain really, even though we all know that we're all going to go one day, but your brain doesn't really always associate it like that. Yeah. They see that you're this person that raised you, who did everything for you, and is now like sick in bed or passed. And so you now have to pull up your big boy pants. Yeah. And just with that. But like through this journey, I've learned, because a lot of people ask me, hey, how you doing? I just said, I'm adjusting ... Yeah. Because we with when Winston was born, she was the one we can drop off and all that.
Yep.
We didn't have that. Fortunately, we have someone from our church to help us out with that. But that was a hole for a period of time. Yeah. And I had a lot when I going to see my mother in the hospital. I saw some other friends that were visiting their mothers, and the same thing. It's like their brain is hard for them to realize, like, this lady used to beat our butts all the time. You know what I mean? And just all that stuff. And now sometimes can barely lift a finger. And so, but I thought this would be a great conversation to have, because even with wealth and building, a lot of things have to happen mentally. There's a lot of preparedness. 'Cause I think you told me that you had to pay for your mother's funeral and all that. And so, like, as you're building the entrepreneur, you gotta play. We talk about offense and defense. You gotta play offense and defense a lot.
Yeah.
Not only just with your immediate family.
Yeah.
Especially us black folks.
Yeah.
Us black folks don't always have the
luxury
and things taken care of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So it's funny. So you made a point. So this is brand new for you. Not even 2 months now, right?
Maybe 3 months.
Maybe 3 months now. But the difference is, if you are working at a bank, you get time off. As an entrepreneur, you don't really get any time off. So what's that?
Yeah,
Walk us through that. What's that been like? It's like, I gotta grieve, but I'm trying to build an empire.
Yeah. So for some context too, for those that don't know too, my mother did just pass, but she was sick for almost a year. So, and she was in nursing homes and all that. And so, if you ever heard about them, you got to be heavily an advocate. Yeah. Heavily. Yeah. Which is, there was one time I had to get a doctor fired because his bedside manner was horrible.
You want to tell his name? Okay.
I probably would, but I actually don't know his name. But I remember what he looks like.
I'm gonna look him up. You deserve to be fired.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, but there's a lot of, we talked about last episode, so you guys gotta make sure you check out the last episode. We talked about a lot of guilt as a father, but there's also guilt as a son and guilt as an entrepreneur, because in one respect is you want to be there, but you also gotta run the business. Yep. TD Jakes said one time, like, he was writing his book when his mother was dying, because he was saying the life has to continue to go on. There's been times when I was there, I tried to do and this is why, like, you gotta run your own race. Some people, other shoes, it's like, yeah, you gotta be there for your parent all the time. But my mother at the time didn't really show that she was gonna pass, and so it was more of a long-term battle. But it's like, but you work somewhere. If I don't work, my mortgage, unless you want to pay my mortgage, go ahead. I'll take some time off. If you want to pay the mortgage, go ahead. Right. But
in the car note,
in the car note, like, just here's the list. Go ahead.
Right. And pay my employees.
Exactly. Yeah. I didn't get that luxury, and I actually did try to be more productive by bringing my work there.
Sure.
And then it wasn't that productive because nurses come in. There's you hear beeps, and sometimes things go on. And then also emotionally, you seeing your mother bedridden, and it's hard to work like that. Yeah. And so I actually had to, like, not go because also, to another reason I didn't go. I went. Well, also there was COVID too, so we had to all balance our thing. Sure. But there was times I purposely did not go so I can focus on work. Yeah. Because if I did try to go, minimal work is going to get done. And so it's and also I have a younger brother that is autistic, so that's a new responsibility that I had to kind of take on.
But that's a good point though, as far as when our superheroes die, we become somebody's superhero too. So for you, your brother is one of those people, like, you have to be even more of a hero for him now. With your mom.
Exactly. And I need him. I'm learning to have rely on others to help to create a new ecosystem. And so for my brother, good part, me and my dad double team him are really good. Like, we actually just went to Kirk Franklin concert the other night, brought him out, and so but that is a new responsibility. Doctor visits, stuff I never had to do before with him, and so that's a new thing that I had to figure out. And also some other things I learned too, because we always hear about, like, life insurance and all that stuff. That stuff is good, but when they don't have it and they're at a senior age, one, it's hard, but at the same time, but at a senior age, if they're trying to get it, it's
They will
way
not.
too
Oh, my
expensive.
goodness.
Like, so one thing I'll tell you guys now, there are things like a Miller's Trust, where there's some other ones too, but like I'm sorry, a burial trust, where basically it's just you save up money,
Sure.
put it in there, no one touches it, and it's earmarked for that time.
Yeah.
And so I'm sharing that too because a lot of times you have people would just say, you have a parent that's maybe in their 90s, and if they could be paying $200 a month for like $5,000 payout, you know what I mean? And so like that's not, but you got those, you do have those vultures of life insurance people like, yeah, go ahead and get her. And
All of them.
Yeah, all of them. So it's like give context. So really, the idea is you just want to make sure you can bury them and have a good funeral.
Sure.
You're past the point where getting more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just more of, can you send them to the grave without having to come out of your pocket.
Some level of dignity.
Some level of dignity.
Yeah,
That's what we were able to do with my mother. I ended up getting a burial trust.
Yeah.
And, there was no money out of pocket for that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
smart.
And it was a great funeral and all that good
How'd
stuff.
you find out about that? Because I don't think a lot of people, especially not our people, are privy to that. This is the first time I've ever heard of burial trust.
So I'll be a little more transparent about that. And there's actually a whole list of options. But we had to go. I think we had to do something with Medicaid, and that's when I first. They gave a what do you call it? A list of. There's a couple other options, but that's the one I remember because that's the one I went with. But to give a breakdown of that specifically, a burial trust is basically like a literal trust, an irrevocable trust, and all you do is you put a certain amount in there. And it's a contract with a funeral home.
Got it.
And a funeral home doesn't hold the money. They hold it into a money market account that earns interest.
Good.
I mean, you can do one today if you wanted to. You can do one today for a 10-year-old for whenever that happens. I mean, I think in that context, it's probably better to have life insurance.
Sure.
But
usually if they're a little bit older and those things will be too
expensive. So it's a more of like cost benefit analysis you have to do. So everything's situational.
Yep.
So that's why I was saying, like, if you have a elderly parent, they don't have life insurance, go ahead and get a quote, see what it looks like. But I do know, like, the payout is minimal. Maybe you get $10,000, but you're paying $100 or $200 just for $10,000. So, but if you can save up that amount of money from whatever, and just put it in irrevocable the burial trust, find a funeral home. They already know how to do all this stuff. They put the money into a money market. It just sits for that time, and then when that time comes, they already know what to do. They just withdraw and they pay all the bills, and all you do is just show up. All you do is show up. So I want to share that option just for those who are going with parents that are senior age and don't have any life insurance. That's just one other alternative. I mean, granted, you do have to put money in there, but at least it's more like direct, where if you put in $100, it's $100. You put in $1,000, it's $1,000, and plus you have a chance to still earn some interest on there.
Exactly, especially if you already. Because, even not just elderly, if they're sick or have pre-existing, conditions.
Absolutely. I forgot about that. Absolutely. So, but and by the way, too, when you're that one, the main one has to care for that one. So the couple, you get hit twice. You get hit emotionally, and you got to get hit with the paperwork.
Talk about
paperwork is an animal. Paperwork is and people, you only understand that side unless you've been through it. And so what I mean by paperwork is insurance, doctor visits, what else?
Birth certificate.
Death certificates.
You gotta check see if they have a will. You gotta go to the banks.
It's all that type of stuff, and it's exhausting, and none of it's easy. And so there's been times I've been just stressed out trying to get stuff done and all that. So you're balancing trying to handle the business of her health care or whatever, and then you're also trying to just be physically present. You know what I mean? And
don't let you have to go clean out her house. I had to go clean out my mother's house.
Oh, I haven't done that yet.
Talk about emotional.
I haven't done that. You mind talking about that for a second?
Man, it was one of the hardest days of it took. My wife would tell you I couldn't even look at pictures of my mom for like the first 2 years. If I did, it would break me. Like I'm like I didn't even. It sounds bad. I didn't even want to talk about my mom for those first 2 years. That's how hard it was. If you brought her up, I probably was going to start swelling. Like it was not good. But having to go to our house and see things and empty out the house, like I couldn't even do it. I was just like, yo, I can't do it. They try to have me, even to this day, I have my mother's ashes, but I left them in the box. They're still in the same box that they should have been just was not emotionally prepared to go through
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those, when you talk about the paperwork of it, you got to think about that too.
Yeah.
Having to go pick up, like for us, I had to go pick up the ashes. Like it's like, yo, these are like the remains. Like this is it. Like it's so finite. Like this is it. Like it's final.
Yeah.
Anything, you know what I mean?
Oh, man.
Is so different.
You know,
and then it's so cold. Like the funeral director, they just like, here, sign here. This,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
You get this, and you just kind of like
everything's transactional.
It's
yeah.
so transactional,
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
you feel is everything.
Yeah.
They you know, if they have a soul or they're not evil like Ray Kroc, they have a little bit of empathy for you.
Yeah.
But essentially it's a business for them. They're just like, yo, I need you to sign here so I can go pick this up, so I can go get this check. Like, I need
you
this.
know, I joke a lot of times, you know, when funeral homes is a business, right?
Yeah.
Funerals home have a good year. What does that mean, right? You
Everybody
know,
died.
everybody died.
Your grandma died.
Yeah.
Your uncle died. They're like, sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
Sign
here. Yeah, we just hit $10 million this year, everybody. You know, that's that's one of those weird businesses.
That's what Ray Kroc should have did.
Yeah.
Fit
No.
right in.
you also hit on something too, which I forgot until you just were talking about it. You know, depending on, you know, for those who are watching, this is going to get there. You know, it's going to get deep. I had to kiss a dead corpse. You know what I mean? Because one thing when they called me when mom passed, I had to. So I first, part of me didn't want to go.
Sure.
Like I wanted someone else to do it.
Sure.
But I was like, nah, Paige, you got to man up. You know what I mean? You got to man up, and because you're the one handling anything. So I had to go in, see my mom lifeless. And they always talk about like their bodies are cold. That confirmed it. I'm like, oh, her body is really cold. Really cold. And I kissed her because I wanted that to be my last kiss. I wanted that to be like I basically it was like I don't as I'm going through this journey, no regrets. You know what I mean? Show up. Handle the stuff at the hospital. See your mom, talk to your mom, spend those last moments with your mom, talk to her, and man, that was rough too. That was really, really rough. My dad was in, my aunt was in there. I did have Carter with me in there. That helped soften the blow a little bit. The newborn, he was maybe 3 months at the time, or no, 5 months at the time. But anyway, but that was hard.
You're a better man than me. I wouldn't even touch her. They wanted me to like rule them. Like I didn't even want to put. I didn't want to. I wanted my last memory of her to be the last memory of her. I didn't want my last memory of her to be
I respect that.
Not gonna be able to do it. It wasn't gonna happen.
And you know, and I think the only reason why I did that is because I kind of at that point, because I've seen my mom at that stage for so long. And it was actually, you know, and even though it was hard, but it was actually also peaceful a little bit because it was bittersweet because my mom didn't like medicine, and really the medicine was almost keeping her alive. And but it was great to see her body at not stressed, not in any of that. So I hated it, but I also liked it, and if that make any sense, you know what I mean.
It was like, yo, the torment that she must be experiencing that I can only watch her experience has now came to an end. Let me ask you, because when my mother passed away, I was not 100% entrepreneurial. I was still working. For you were and you are. Did that affect how you even seen that, or did it increase? Like, yo, I got to make sure that I have this all together, so the next person who I care about dies. Like, did it make you think about the business in a different way?
I absolutely. I realized like so my whole Straight answer is yes. I started thinking about like there's some career paths I was just like, nah, I ain't doing that no more. I'm focusing on this. You know what I mean? Like one thing we talked about it offline before. Like I want to get more into private equity and booking. It's like, you know what? I'm going full throttle. One, it was like even though we know it, but like going through that was like you only got one life to live, and life is getting shorter and shorter. And so it's like let's go full throttle and go for it. And so because I also realized that, to your point, what you said, we were talking about earlier, we and my aunt said, like, Pedro, you're now the cornerstone. So now I have to go full throttle because now I have my father. I even have my aunt. Again, I have other family that and honestly, I take that. I'm honored to. You know what I mean? And so that's why I'm more excited and more ambitious and I'm going after things because, you know I'm going to be one of the vessels to kind of help out others with. And but I want to kind of spin back one quick because you were talking about like not going to how it hurt you going to clean out your mother's thing.
House,
I had a moment too because I wasn't sure how I was going to respond to life. You know, post. Because I do be having moments. But there was one time we were going to another funeral, and I haven't even been to the burial of my mom's thing yet. And I drove not even close. I took a road that I took to go to the funeral one time. But we weren't even going that direction. We went to another direction. Right. As I'm driving, all of a sudden my body started changing.
Oh wow.
And like meaning like I was starting to cry, and I'm like I'm tripping, like why am I about to cry? Like what is happening?
Right.
And but I after thinking about it, I was like, because that was I don't go that road that often. Right. So the last time I rode that road was for that. It was the road for that. Yeah. And then I did something stupid, which was that it was a Friday, and then on Monday when after I dropped my son off to school, I said, Pedro, revisit that, meaning that I went to go. I glad for punishment. Yes. Nah. I went back to that time. I went back to the thing, and I said I'm going to go there because I felt like that caught me off guard, and I even before I even got same thing happened again. Even before I got there, I was breaking down, and then too. I went out there in the rain. So I was like, Pedro, you picked the wrong day.
You want the pain. You want the pain. Nah, I was trying to run away from the pain.
It was for me. It was like I had to rip the Band-Aid off. But now I feel a little bit better. Yeah. Not to say that I ain't gonna cry next time around, but I have a different point of view now. Like I feel more excited because I want to now decorate and all that type of stuff. But that was hurtful, and it's just now. I just have random moments of just not be able to see the babies and all that type of stuff. But it's a journey that unfortunately we all going to have to experience eventually. Yeah.
Was there any aspect of your business that your mom ever was like, yo, I'm proud of that you did?
Yeah, she likes me public speaking. Yeah. Yeah. And that was some of the conversations I told her. Even matter of fact, so this just popped in my head. So before she passed on a Tuesday. And she passed on a Tuesday, and what happened was I was out in Texas for a speaking engagement, and I didn't get to see her for several days. I was actually sick prior, and when I was out, my wife was telling me, my son was saying, "Hey, is Granny in heaven yet? Is Granny in heaven yet?" Because normally he will always say, "Is Granny better yet?" Yeah. But this time, she asked that question and was like. He's like, no. She was confused. I'm like, no, she's still sick. She knows she's not in heaven. And then, so Saturday passed. He came back to her on Sunday again, said, is Granny in heaven yet? Or she's still at the doctor's? And it was strange because my son never asked at heaven yet. Right. And so fast forwarding, I finally got back in town. I saw her. It was a Father's Day, so I didn't go Sunday because it was Father's Day or whatever. And I was spending time with the family, but I said, I'm going Monday. Normally I go sometimes I go in the afternoon. I was like, let me go early in the morning. So I went early in the morning, talked with her, and I got to tell her, I was like, Mom, you be proud because I went. I had a speaking engagement this time. I went to Texas for the first time and had a good conversation or whatever. And I remember saying, all right, Mom, I'm going to leave you alone that we can get some rest or whatever. And then later that day, I got the call. She passed. So I almost felt like it was her talking to my son, giving us a heads up. Wow. And the fact, and then kind of bringing it all in because she got to hear her baby doing speaking engagement and all that type of stuff. And she left when none of us were there. Because even one of my cousins went after I left, and she left when all, and like I feel like she said, all right, everybody's good. Yeah. It's okay to go home now. Wow. Yeah. So, man, I know that was this probably was a heavy episode.
That she got to have that and hear that before she went down. I think that's therapy. When you think back and your next speaking engagements, you'll remember those type of things.
Yes, right? Yes.
So my mom, it's so funny. So my mom, I started the first issue of Incline magazine dropped October 16th of 2016. Okay. Right? I went and surprised my mom on her birthday, her 52nd birthday, on the 26th of October.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I remember she was so, my mom was just hype anyway. Anything I did, like I could have been, the best roller of tortillas. My mom would have been proud, but she was so hype. But she said that she wanted me to interview Fran Drescher, Will Smith. I can't remember who the other person was, but those are two people that in my head, I'm like, yo, I have to interview one of them. So a couple years ago, I got a chance to do press at Will Smith's book signing, his book tour when his book came out at the Met. And I didn't get a chance to like interview him like this.
Yeah.
But the fact that I was kind of there.
Yeah,
and
you was close to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was like,
yeah.
and you know, got a chance to kind of like, you know, just say what's up and those type of things. I was just like, Mom.
Yeah.
You'd be pretty proud about this.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? It reminded me of a clip because, you know, Kevin Hart, he lost his mother, right? Sure. And on his recent episode, he talked about that, like, she didn't really get to see all his success. Yeah. She saw the come up. So I mean, even with you, she didn't get to see today what she is seeing today, but she didn't get to see
experience.
But she
like, look,
but she got to see the beginning. Same with Kevin Hart. Like when Kevin Hart didn't have no money doing these little pop up comedic shows, she saw some of that. And even he mentioned that how like she never came to him, but afterwards when he did go in there and clean the room, she bought tickets to all of them. Wow. She never went in, but she bought tickets and she saw like newspaper clippings and all that in the box for him. Wow. So it's just like, I don't know how to explain that, but it's one of those like they were investing in it and all that. Yeah.
If you had two takeaways from people who are experiencing that, you're an entrepreneur, they're trying to build this empire all by themselves. A lot of times they lose a parent, specifically a mother or father. You know, what takeaway or what advice would you give to them?
Yeah. First is embrace that grief.
Yeah.
Like take that, like accept it. It's gonna happen because whether you want to accept it or not, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And second thing is just, it's gonna sound cliche, but just don't stop.
Yeah.
Meaning that you might have to take a break. Yeah. You know what I mean? You might have to take a break, but other than that, let that be the fuel to really go up the next level. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I would say that, you know, accept it, embrace that grief that comes, and after that, just don't stop and just go up another level. Yeah.
It's a good place to end, man.
Yeah.
So shout out to everything that your mom imputed in you. I think I got a chance to meet her once early when you and Kiara first got married. So that's pretty cool, man.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you, man. And same with you, man. And that's why I wanted to do this one with you, because you get it.
You do them all with me.
Well, of course. Yeah, I'm stuck with you. Yeah, but I knew this conversation would be great because you know.
I'm the OG in these things. I got the oldest kid. I've experienced, you know, I've lived like 12 lives.
Yes.
Tell the kids at home where they can find you.
Yes. Follow me, Instagram, Pedro_Moore, earn interest. You can also follow me on TikTok and Twitter, Pedro Moore, or you can visit pedromore.com. And also remember, please continue to make money with friends. Make friends with money. Peace out.